All right, what's going on, everybody? We are here once again, like we never left. Another conscious approach video. JV wins here with Dogon SS, trying to stay dry out here in Florida as Hurricane Ian attempts to wreak havoc on us. Um, got a couple of interesting things to talk about. A similar subject model that is contingent to the channel, so none of this will come as a shock. But nevertheless, some good commentary as always, because we are opining on it, and we are not your everyday average Joes. So first up, I wanted to get into this escort slash OnlyFans model's explanation for why what she does and how she earns a living is not the fault of her own, but is indeed the fault of women. I mean, not women, men. She's saying women shouldn't be blamed for what she does for a living, and men are being left off the hook too much. So she this woman's name is what did you say her name was? Bianca Sierra. Bianca
Yeah.
Sierra is her name. She is an Australian. Uh, she's an Australian escort, and she also does stuff on OnlyFans. And so, because this is 2022 and we're dealing with new humans, she also has a large social media following. And so, from time to time, she likes to jump on her TikTok to answer people's comments on her posts, or rather address people's comments on some of her posts, because oftentimes, as is the case, I would imagine with women like this, people are often chiding her because of the what she has chosen to do with her life and the way that she chooses to earn a living and all of that good stuff. And so, from time to time, she chooses to engage with the public on what it is that she does and on what other people have to say about what it is that she does. And so she recently talked about some of the things that she is involved with, and she started talking about how women shouldn't be to blame for men cheating on their wives and how men are left off the hook too much. And if you want someone to blame, don't look at women, look at men. Men are being left off the hook too much. So we'll go ahead and play this, and then we'll give our thoughts on what she had to say.
Answering some of my comments. I never look for clients, they find me. I don't feel bad. A lot of people in the comments want me to feel guilty, but I don't. And I'm not going to pretend I do for your comfort. This is just a job to me, a choice I've made. Walking around feeling guilty about it is not going to serve me. We as a collective need to stop blaming women for men's choices, especially women. It starts and stops with a man. Men make decisions and then we find reasons as to why it's not their fault and it's the environment around them. These are grown men. They can make a decision. I like my job. I do not need saving. Nothing I say on this app is a cry for help. I am okay. We are all poor in some sense. Everybody is selling something. Changing my time and body for a money transaction is no different to exchanging your time and body for an energetic transaction. Money is energy. It's my choice. SWs are a lot safer than the majority of the general population. Everything's protected. I switch on and I switch off. After my client leaves, they leave my reality. I could walk down the street with someone that I just fucked and not remember them. I'm like a machine. I turn on and then I turn off. And when the machine turns off, I leave work. I may bring work home with me, but I never bring it home with me, if you know what I mean. I'm not blaming women, not even really blaming men. This is just the way the world works. I'm giving you insight to a world that if you were not in my industry, you would never know. Until you're in my industry, you will never understand. And that's okay. My lips are real. I'm an Aries. I'm a server worker. A lot of girls are. Might have an odd wine or champagne. The work better serve up as soon as you start drinking your logic. Kind of goes out the window. I have not actively dated since I've been in this job. I have no desire to. I will not be changing my job in order to date. I'm not worried about finding a man, so you should be worried for me. I have a good close relationship with my entire family and everybody knows what I do. My mental health has never been better since doing this job. My industry is also high risk, high reward. It is very dangerous. It can be very dangerous. It takes a certain kind of person to do this job. Not everyone can do it just because everyone can have sex. How I interact with men in real life versus how I interact with men while working is different. I'm an actress for one. Yes, you can save money in this job. There's no one way to live life. What works for you may not work for me. And that's okay. If you have any more questions, comment below.
All right. If you have any more questions, comment below. So before we get started, I do want to say, as we always like to do, that if you do appreciate or enjoy the commentary in these videos, please subscribe to the channel and also like the video. We certainly appreciate you supporting logical content. So, yeah, there you have it. She basically was saying, I give 0 Fs. Um, don't look at me, look at the men. This is just a job to me. I switch on and I switch off. There was also some weird thing that she said where, um, using my body to make money is no different than an exchange of energy. I'm not sure I know what that means. Um, but yeah, so what did you have to say about what her comments were in regards to what it is she does?
It sounds like it's pretty rap tight. Her logic, at least, how she copes with whatever she's doing. Um, and it sounds like she has, um, in the mind of a sex worker, never really heard one speak like that. She seems to be in control of whatever she's got going on, and yeah, I mean, I appreciate her honesty. Is it her fault that guys are hitting her up? No, because sex workers don't go creeping in people's DMs. It's the other way around. So I do agree with her in that regard that yeah, it's guys out here that seeking that. So can you really blame her for taking these guys up on their offer? And my concern for sex workers is their mental stability, because I don't know what that type of lifestyle does to them over time. She can say that she's okay now, but turning off, turning on, something like that, she may be getting away with it now, but I'm pretty sure there's some level of cumulative stress that she's acquiring by living this lifestyle. And her don't give a F attitude about everything, her demeanor speaks to the effects that it's already having on her that she don't even know. But I do appreciate her honesty. Honestly, I would like to hear more. Not from that clip. I already heard enough there, but just to get into the psyche of such a person, I think it is kind of interesting. But what were your initial thoughts on this one?
Right. So, question for you: do you consider OnlyFans models to be sex workers?
Yes.
Okay, so
Yes.
do I. I do too. I consider that to be sex work. I consider anything in which you leverage your physical appearance for any kind of monetary gain in that capacity. Um, because obviously you can be like a model or something like that, and that's using your body too. But when it comes to stuff like OnlyFans, where it's based on some sort of premium service and people are actually spending money to view you in a particular frame of light or context, I do consider that to be a sex worker. So, is it a sex worker to the extreme of a woman being an escort? Not necessarily, but I'll put it all in the same boat because the tangible effect is the same, in my opinion. Um, Now, having said that, the reason why I like bringing up stuff like this and the reason why I like to react to clips like this is because it allows for us to really shine a spotlight on what a lot of these women think about us as men, in terms of us not actually being whole human beings, but merely vessels to fund them. And the primary means by which that can happen is by leveraging sex in order to do so. And the primary point that I like to make for men in particular is the importance of not being a slave to vagina. Because when you're a slave to vagina, you allow women like this to take advantage of you, and you get nothing in return but essentially patronization. So, like, I hate OnlyFans with a passion.
Mhm.
I really do. I wish that it was. I wish that it could be abolished. If I became president tomorrow, the first thing that I'd do is get rid of OnlyFans. I'd make it illegal. Um,
Uh,
I would make it a Schedule One drug, punishable by prison time, extended prison time. That's how much I hate OnlyFans. I truly do. And the reason why I hate it is, well, there's a lot of reasons why I hate it, but one of the biggest reasons why I hate it is because it perpetuates a big problem that I see going on in society today, in which men are allowing themselves to be taken advantage of by way of their propensity for being slaves to vagina. And, you know, because of the internet, because of social media, because of technology, men are rapidly losing the ability to meet women based upon their own merit and their social skills. They're developing what I call social atrophy. And in lieu of developing social atrophy, they are into perpetuity becoming comfortable with settling into their social atrophy by seeking out outlets like OnlyFans in order to redeem themselves with attention from women. The problem with the attention that they're receiving is that it's completely hollow and artificial. It's not real. These women don't care about you. All they care about is extracting your money. That's all they care about. And I think as men, it's important that we should be seeking, number one, actual physical connections with women, but number two, connections in which women actually respect you for your own merit. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean that you have to be this super principled guy who just does everything above board and you're just not going to have any vices whatsoever. But it does mean that I personally believe that it's important for men to uphold themselves towards women in such a way that, number one, you're seeking actual physical contact with them and your internet contact with them doesn't suffice. And number two, these women should at the very least respect you as a man, as a human being. And when you're giving your money to them on OnlyFans, you're accomplishing neither of those things. The interaction is hollow. They're patronizing you. They're pretending to like and appreciate you as a human being so that they can get their money from you. And they know that they can get away with it because they know you're a slave to vagina. They know that you are willing to subscribe to their page for $10 a month just to see them in sexy outfits and just to hear them say your name, even though they don't give a shit about you. So because of all of that, I hate OnlyFans. But it's not enough for me to constantly talk about how much I hate OnlyFans. It helps to have a video clip like this where a woman is basically telling you as a man, I don't even respect you as a human being. I just want you to pay me for my presence. Pay me based off of the sake of my existence as a woman. And that's all that I need from you. And once we're done with that, go away because you don't exist to me. You're nothing. That's why I like stuff like this, because it hits home. And, you know, granted, whenever we talk about stuff like this, you know, I understand that I'm casting a wide net. So I know that not every guy is going to understand the importance of that. And I know that there is going to be a lot of guys who say, bro, it's not a big deal. What's the problem? It's just OnlyFans. I subscribe to 3 OnlyFans pages. So what? What's the big deal? It's not that serious. You're always going to get the it's not that serious crowd. But if you cast a wide enough net, you might be able to get a couple dudes here and there who are on the fringes and know that despite the fact that they are doing this, there's something not all the way right about it. And so maybe discussions like this, videos like this can help them see the light and say, you know what, instead of subscribing to OnlyFans, I'm going to take that $9.99 a month that I'm giving this chick who doesn't give a shit about me, and I'm going to go to happy hour, you know, after work next Thursday, and I'm going to try to meet women in person and spend that same $10 there. So, you know, that's why I'm appreciative of her, as funny as that may seem, for clips like this, because it gives me a tool to be able to kind of present to the growing masses of men who are socially atrophied to say, hey, bro, this is what some of these women think about you. They don't care about who you are or what you have to offer or contribute to society. They just know that if I have a pretty enough face and a nice enough body, you'll give me whatever I want, and I can essentially treat you like shit and then cast you off to the side without a thought or a care in the world. Because as she explained, I can, you know, have sex with a guy and then see him tomorrow and not even remember who he is. And I don't think any man should want to be a part of that kind of ecosystem. And that's just the OnlyFans angle of it. Now, you know, for her uniquely, she's also an escort. So she does provide physical services, and not, she doesn't just do the OnlyFans thing. And I have an issue with escort and prostitution and all that, because I do think that escorting is an extension of stuff like OnlyFans. I really don't think it's much of a difference, but at the very least, if you are paying for an escort, even though I don't think it's that much better, I can at least say that when it comes to escorts and prostitutes and all of that kind of stuff, you're at least spending your money to get an actual to receive actual sex. Like, it's actual physical contact with a woman. There's actual sex taking place, which, if you got to resort to paying women in this way, in this capacity, at least you're getting an actual physical deed out of it, as opposed to just sitting there on your tablet or your phone or your laptop, or your iMac, if you still use an actual desktop, spending your hard-earned money to be patronized by these women who don't give a shit about you. But moreover, I'm disgusted by all of it. And I know that escorting and all of that kind of stuff has been going on for a long time, but it's important for us to understand that this kind of thing has undergone a swift transition in the wake of the proliferation of the internet and technology, because access to this stuff is so much more readily available. And the money is so much easier for these women to come by, and because it's so much easier for a guy, you talk often about sexual deviancy and having the ability to engage or indulge in vices very easily, because there's so many more there's such easier access to it, because you got the phone and you got all of this other stuff. So because there's such easier access to it, when women know that you have easier access to it, they know that they can even further exacerbate the dynamic by preying upon you and your inherent weakness for their even faked or feigned redemption of you as a person, as a human being. And I just feel like that's something that all men should heed, be mindful of, and try to stay as far away from as possible. Because if you want to understand why you're having such issues with meeting women, with making connections with women, with not getting ignored by women, with not having women completely disregard you because they're practicing hypergamy, this is one of the things that you can look towards as a sign as to why these things are happening. And trust and believe, this is happening to a lot of men, a lot of working class, middle class men who are out here trying to meet women and are trying to figure out what the hell is going on. This shouldn't be this hard. You're right, guys. It's not that hard. You intrinsically feel as though it's not that hard because it shouldn't be, but it's being made difficult by your brethren. It's being made difficult by your contemporaries. The slew of men who are out here capitulating to the modern day sexual marketplace on the internet, giving their money to women on OnlyFans, and then furthermore paying an extreme excess amount of money just to be able to be with these women for a night or two. But otherwise, they go back to their lives of nothingness and emptiness because these women don't care about you. And there's only so much of that you should be able to stomach before you wake up and realize that there's something that's all the way wrong with this. So I do agree with her. And in a roundabout way, when she brought up the idea about how women need to stop being made to blame for this, she's absolutely correct. She's 1000% correct. The sexual marketplace doesn't exist if it's not for men. Stop doing it. Like I say this stuff all the time. I'm starting to feel like a broken record, but I can't help it because it's true. Like, guys, if you want these women to respect you more, stop being slaves to vagina. OnlyFans does not exist if men don't subscribe to the pages. I don't have the data right in front of me, but I'm willing to bet that the vast majority of patrons of OnlyFans in this particular capacity, talking about, these models and stuff, is men. It's not women. Women ain't doing this because women can get real sex and attention from men without having to try. So it has to be the men who are doing this. So if we perceive some of these things to be a problem, and there are a lot of men who perceive these things to be a problem because I talk to them often. If you perceive this stuff to be a problem, get off the OnlyFans. Stop paying for porn. Stop doing these things. If collectively, in mass, we stop doing this, then a lot of this would change for the better. But until it does, these women are going to realize that you're nothing more than a mark, to not be respected, but rather to be extracted for your finances because they know that you are habitual slaves to vagina.
Well said, but I think that because you always talk about progenitor behaviors and all of that stuff, and a guy uh, entering his credit card information in OnlyFans, um, that's the last domino. But what's the first domino, and why he's even doing that? And always generally talk about mind control and how people ended up doing goofy stuff when it doesn't even make sense. And men have been under attack since they were able to, sit up straight and watch TV. And nowadays with these, new people, ever since they had a cell phone or something or a tablet, and their sexual energy has been confused and under attack since they were too young to remember. And so with all of those various aspects going on, they grow up into this creature who cannot who cannot say no to their sexual desires. And another angle of it, because that's one angle. The other angle is men inherently, their job is to be doers and executors and builders, creators. And in this modern world where everybody, goes home to their apartment or their home, they're not doing any field work, they're not doing any gardening, they're not doing any building, they're not doing anything that's their own. They clock in and they clock out somewhere, and there's something that's missing. They feel something missing, but they don't know what it is. And the modern human, the male, we'll stick with male, is a slave to the system that they live in.
Mhm.
And so they don't even know that they're slaves because they're doing stuff that they really don't want to do. And on top of that, they're doing stuff that's against their natural order as men. If you look back in human history is nothing but domination, conquest, and domination and conquest.
Mhm.
And every male right now is docile as hell. I mean, they're not even close to what their natural energy says they should be. So when you have men who are told not to be men from as young as before they can remember, then on top of that, they're getting all levels of confusion sexually when they're young. Then this amalgamation of a man appears, and now he's entering credit card information. And
Mhm.
so the reason why he's doing that is because he doesn't really have, either he doesn't have something that he's building or creating or something like that, and or he's been having all levels of mind control since he was a youngin. And so this is just the evolution of a pornography mindset.
Yeah.
Because when they were, watching and indulging in pornography before you can actually talk to the porn stars, those guys loved the porn stars. And they were, oh yeah, I mean, there are people that I had my favorites. But then there was these there was, but then there's these people that would probably, hell, if they had some email or whatever, send fan mail
Yo, yeah, yeah.
or
Yep.
whatever. And this is
Mhm.
before all of this stuff. So now
Mhm.
that you have direct to consumer uh pornography going on, then all the fanboys and stuff like that are hopping out of the woodworks, and they don't care if they're spending 10, 15, 20, $30 a month,
Yeah.
because they can actually have access to their favorite actress. And so why is he doing that? Again, he's been sexually confused since he was in elementary, middle school. And so then, like I said, you compile that with not being able to do the physical stuff that you need to do as a man, you know. So somebody can actually, be a football player, an athlete and stuff like that, but you're nothing but a gladiator running into a wall. that's not domination, and that's not conquest. That's not actually going out and achieving and doing what needs to be done to build a community. You're just doing another form of slave labor. And so who's out there? So the people out there that actually tap into their masculinity, the people that actually, try to be a man, what a real man should be, those are the ones that would look at type of stuff like this and go, well, I don't know why they're doing that.
Yeah.
And if they're not as sexually confused as those other people, then then they'll look at them like, what the hell are y'all doing? And me personally, I look at them like, what the hell are you doing? Even though I indulged in pornography, even though I'm not out here dominating and conquering and taking land and stuff like that, I still work at jobs and come home to my apartment. But at the same time, there's a level of understanding of
Right.
the circumstances that I'm in, that I'm not going to be a victim of those circumstances. But if people don't take the time out and, have an objective view of themselves, then they're susceptible of falling victim to this level of mind control and then entering credit card info. And so even if you were to tell them like all the stuff that you said, they would say, big deal, bruh. Who cares, man? Like, you know what I'm saying? Because he doesn't get those levels of interaction on his day-to-day basis because he's not out here trying to achieve, and he's sexually confused.
Yeah.
And so man, I think that it's more or less that's where the seed comes from, and then these are the fruits of it. And as you said, I agree with everything she's saying, because it's like I said before, like they're not the ones hopping in DMs. They're not the ones doing all of this stuff. It's the men out here who who don't feel deep down, I believe, that they're actually being a man. And they, on top of that, you could throw food, other environmental things that's messing with men's testosterone. And we got a hodgepodge and a melting pot of foolery. And this is what it looks like in 3D. So I think it's a lot
Yeah.
going on.
Yeah, it is a lot going on. And it's a nuanced conversation, because I think to a certain extent, this is where humans, men in particular, have evolved to. But grown people are still capable of a cognitive level of thought that is sufficient enough to be able to break out of your behavior sets and engage in new behavior sets that are more beneficial to you. The guy Stephen Covey wrote the book 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, and one of the primary tenets all throughout that book was engaging in paradigm shifts. But of course, you can't shift your paradigm until you are aware that you were stuck within a paradigm that needs to be shifted to begin with. So first, it requires awareness. And like I said before, I'm not even worried about every guy, because I already know that that's a lost cause. But you do have a lot of guys out here who are sort of swept up and being victimized by this dynamic to no fault of their own, because they're trying to do it the right way, but they're just not understanding what's going on. And so to those kind of guys, I just like to say, hey man, here's what's going on. And then to the other guys who are on the fringes, who can go either way, because you have a fair amount of those guys, I just like to say, hey man, this is what's happening. So if enough of you shift your paradigm, we can move these things in a direction that will be most beneficial to all men everywhere. But I completely understand that, despite all of that, the conditioning is all the way set in. And you brought up a good point about, having direct access, that you didn't have before, where, it used to be like, fan mail. And now instead of fan mail, you can like comment right in the feed. You have, it's like you think that you're a part of her world and her community, even though you're really not. Because like I said, newsflash to all you guys who subscribe to these OnlyFans pages, these women don't care about you. All they care about is that you continue to pay your, monthly subscription fees. Otherwise, they don't care about you. But because you have that ability to engage in that short-sighted form of communication, it can sort of create the notion that you are a part of something. And when you get enough people who feel as though they're a part of something, and it starts to feel like a legitimate community, then you can start to feel as though your behaviors are legitimized because you're a part of a community. You're not doing it as a lone ranger. You're doing it with a whole bunch of other guys who are doing it too. Like, look, she has 4.5 thousand followers. So, everybody's subscribing to her page. So why should I feel ashamed if I subscribed as well? So it's just the advent of the community aspect of it that further exacerbates the issue, what I perceive to be a problem. And sort of it shows no signs of slowing down because it's more now than just an engagement of vices. It's now about being a part of a community. It's no different than when you play a video game. Like you play these massive multiplayer online games on these consoles, and you play in the game online, and you develop a whole network of friends and people from around the world because you guys are sort of together in solidarity through the playing of this video game. The sexual marketplace has become the same thing. You're a part of a community now because you're subscribed to her OnlyFans page. But this is having a greater detriment on the population, in my opinion, than gaming, because where's the sex going on? Where's the procreation? Where is the genuine respect for men on the part of women? It's dissipating right before our very eyes. And this is the cause of it, in my opinion. That's just my opinion. Stuff like, and then, we've talked a lot about other things. You brought up food that's affecting men's testosterone. That's another vice that you can get caught up in, is food. Gaming is another vice that you can get caught up in. All of these things are ancillary aspects of modern day culture that are contributing to this, madness. But the root of it is we are willfully sort of capitulating to these behaviors that lead to an overall lack of respect for men, and that lead to women disregarding the mere existence of men because they feel as though all you care about is what they can offer physically, and what's between their legs. And if they reduce you to that, then they have no other, then it's a feasible conclusion that they can leverage that very thing monetarily because they know that it's all that you care about, and they know that you'll do anything for it. When if you bossed up and acted more like a man, and made it known that it's a part of the package, but not everything that you care about, you'd actually be able to gain some respect, and more respect would lead to a lot of these things reversing. That's just how I see it. I got a friend. This is the last thing. Like, I got a friend who is vehemently opposed to strip clubs. He's just opposed. He's like, why? Why am I going to a strip club? But see, he is a guy who says, if I'm not meeting a woman and having her respect me on my merit, and then we eventually go on and we smashing and we doing our thing, I'm not going to pay a chick for her presence. Like, I'm not going to go to a strip club and spend inordinate amounts of money for her to dance on me and pretend to care about who I am as a person. And I respect him for it. He's a principled guy, and I largely agree with him. I'm at the point now where I'll still indulge in strip clubs, but it'll just have to be on somebody else's dime. I'm not spending my money. But if it's my own money, I kind of largely agree with that. I just kind of feel like, what is the end goal? And if you'll remember, I don't know whether it was the last video or 2 videos ago where I talked about the importance of men embracing the idea of utilitarianism and just, only committing to behaviors that yield a result that is tangible for you. And so for him, he looks at something like a strip club as yielding an intangible result. What benefit do I get? She danced on me, and now she's on to the next guy to dance on. She doesn't know who I am, care about me, my history. She doesn't care about my actual existence as a human being. She has no respect for me. She just wanted my $20. She just want, or however much the dance is. And I largely agree with that. But see, he's a principled person. And so, I understand that at this point I'm somewhat on a soapbox and I'm somewhat being like, high horsey. But I do kind of think that it's important for men to understand the importance of being more principled and caring more about only and caring more about being a utilitarian, engaging in behaviors that yield a tangible benefit. Strip clubs ain't it. OnlyFans ain't it. Um, these streaming porn sites. Even though I think that that's less of an issue because sometimes you need to get that rock off, but it shouldn't be the primary means by which you achieve that. You should be still going out, to use your metaphor, throwing your rod in the water and trying to get your own catch. We've moved away from that. So many of us as men have been bitch made over the course of the last couple generations. We've had our masculinity and our manhood challenged, and we've been made to believe that we shouldn't be doing certain things that we should, and there are ramifications that is causing. So, I just think that some of those things are important. And when videos like this come out, it allows us to be able to shine light on that. Because she very bluntly put it, I don't care about you. I just am here for this service that I'm providing to you because I know that that's all you care about. And once this is over and you pay me, I'm out. And I wouldn't even know you if you walked in the room the next day. And we as men should not be willing to accept that. That's pretty much what it boils down to. And so I appreciate her for putting this out there because it gives me content to be able to push that message. And there was one more. Oh, and then the point about it being all about the women and all about the men and not about the women. Yeah, that's correct. Like, the sexual marketplace doesn't exist if men don't create the market. So if you think that this is a problem, next time you run into a guy who has several OnlyFans subscriptions, you might want to show him this clip. Show him this video, and show him other videos like it, because there's other content creators out there who are sort of singing the same tune, putting the same message out there. And the more guys that we can get to unplug, the better it will be for all of us, women included too. Now, this isn't even something that would just benefit men. There's a lot of women out there who are seeking relationships and all of that good stuff, because it's not even just about relationships. It's just about making sense of the world and how we fit into it with men and women, and being cooperative and respectful of one another. And if you want to see a world in which that's more readily available, then it starts with unplugging in this capacity.
Yeah. And I just wanted to say that, there's studies out there that, show that pornography rewires the brain.
Yeah.
And but how is it getting rewired? And so, if somebody's been watching pornography for X amount of years, they have grown into a habit of having transactional nuts.
Yeah.
And so they scour the internet, they find the video they want, and then they crank it out, and their brain just got rewired of sex. Found a body type I like, found a scene I like, rub it out. And then once that becomes the wiring, they look at all women as, ooh, I want to rub one out with that. I want to rub one out with that. There's so many eclectic flavors on the internet. You can find any body type out there doing whatever the hell you want. And so then when you're actually in the reality, the real world, there's this level of looking at women like sex.
Yeah.
And so they've been rewired to go, I just want to bust a nut with that. I want to bust a nut with that. And then they go out and they try to actually acquire, talk to, or whatever. And the females ain't about it. They don't, or whatever. You're not gonna be able to get all of your rocks off the way that you want to in reality, the way you could virtually. So now that there's services out there that, you can hit up an escort, and there's eclectic flavors with that, then you just go, hey, they treat it like porn. And then they want to live out the porn because they can't live out the porn in their regular lives. There's some wild stuff that go on in them things. And not every woman's down with that. So, but if you pay a sex worker to do it, you can get the body type you want. You can do the wild stuff that you want. And you're actually living out the fantasies. But who gave you those fantasies? Where did you learn these fantasies from? Historically, pornography was always frowned upon. it wasn't until modern times where it's become normalized that, well, hell, everybody watches it, so it's okay for me to watch it. But actually, it's quite dangerous because, yeah, because these are the ramifications of it, of a porn laden society where everybody can just have access to the most, degrading, depriving type of crap out there. And so, but once they have wired their brain that way, good luck telling them to not want to follow that flow of thought. And so, so even if a person has a solid situation at the house, he still got to live out sexual fantasies. And that's what she's saying. Well, hey, if these are married men or whatever, this is not my fault. They're still hitting me up.
Mm-hmm.
And the reason why they may have a situation and they're still hitting her up is because they have this filth living in the back of their brain. I had said this a few pods ago, saying that, whatever you consume, visually, it has to manifest itself somehow. And so those guys who have watched hours and hours of that trash, how is that going to manifest itself? It's going to manifest itself in all levels of sexual deviancies. And so a level of sexual deviancy to me is going out here, acquiring sex workers, or being subscribed to OnlyFans things where you're just only looking at feet or armpits.
It
And
can
it's
even
like, damn,
it can even be the OnlyFans where you're viewing like porn. Like to me, it's all the same.
yeah,
It's an indulgence in the same kind of vice that is just as damaging.
yeah. And so since their brains, so they don't even know. And so even if some of this logic that we're providing, and to some people, I mean, those doors are closed. Those doors are closed. It's like, yeah, right, man. I got to get this off. I got to get this off. I mean, can look at her. She's hot.
Yeah, that's
Hey,
why
bro.
that's why I mentioned casting the wide net, because I know you're not going to get everybody, and I know that.
No. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I'm not even worried about that.
Yeah, for sure. But I'm just saying but this is what we're living in. And
Yeah.
there's going to be the overwhelming majority who fall into the trap. And that's how mind control works. That's why they give it out. It's to control the masses, not everybody. And so and once they get a hold of the masses, the culture goes that way, and more and more people fall into those traps. So yeah, it's unfortunate, but these are the signs of the times. If somebody out there that thought those websites out there were harmless because they're free, hey man, ain't nothing in this world free, man. I hope y'all
No,
already
everything.
realized that by now. And
Yep.
for them to be out there giving you this crap for free, it must be something up with it. I holler conspiracy all the time about that, because ain't no way that stuff should be so readily available, but they make it available. And so yeah, these are the signs of the times, fellas. Get with it. Fight the urges. They've been there for a long time. I get it. But try to do your best to rewire your brain in a direction where you're getting those dopamine rushes from actually going out in the world and achieving, not getting dopamine rushes because you've unlocked some new achievement in your video game, or because you dropped a comment amongst hundreds of people flooding her inbox, or her other box. And all those people flooding her thing, and she pointed out your comment. Now you got a dopamine rush because your favorite OnlyFans model recognized your comment with the hard eyes. And so yeah, real world achievement, get out there and actually go slay that lion, drag it back to the house type of lifestyle. And get your tea back in order, because they're making sure that it's suppressed nowadays. So yeah, man, fight on, fellas, fight on.
Yeah, fight on. I encourage everybody to look that up. You can do a simple Google search on the effects of things like porn, which OnlyFans is it's porn. Well, that variety of OnlyFans has on the brain. The dopamine rush that the brain releases dopamine in a similar way that it does whenever you shoot heroin. It's the same, and I don't think anyone would argue that shooting up heroin is a good thing. So I encourage everybody to look that up. Everything has consequences. So yeah, when you're engaging in these things and you're paying for that OnlyFans, and like you said, you get all excited because this chick said your name one time because she just so happened to pick your one comment, and now you feel like she actually cares about you. You're playing yourself and you're killing us all. Honestly, you are. So the good news is that everyone can undergo a paradigm shift. So as bad as this may seem, there's always the capacity to change for the better. So that's the good news. That's the optimistic angle of this. So I just think that it's important that more and more men undergo said paradigm shift. Seriously. It starts with the men. It starts with us. If more of us undergo the paradigm shift, you'll see less escorts. You'll see less OnlyFans models. You'll see less Instagram models. You'll see less of this because it's men who fuel these marketplaces. So that's pretty much it. But I appreciate this clip. This woman, Bianca Sierra, you go ahead and doing your thing because all you're doing is taking advantage of an opportunity that's being given to you. So what are you gonna do? But next up, man, we are going to talk about DJ Akademiks. So DJ Akademiks is popular. He's going viral online because he made some comments. He's actually made a few comments over the last few days. He talked about old dusty rappers. And he corrected his comments about old dusty rappers. Essentially, he clarified his remarks by saying what he was getting at was the problem in the hip hop industry with older generations of rappers who don't want to help bring along new generations of rappers. But that's not what we're going to talk about. What we are going to talk about is comments that he made in relation to Reginae Carter. Reginae Carter is the daughter of Lil Wayne, and what's his mom's name? I forget it off the top of my head. I should know this, but I forget off the top of my head. But she's the daughter of Lil Wayne, and DJ Akademiks made some comments about her and her YouTube presence, and she's on it now with some new boyfriend and her past dating choices, and and basically he was insinuating that a lot of these women ain't really down for the cause. They ain't really ride or die. So we'll just go ahead and play what he said, and then we'll talk about that afterwards. So the clip is a part of an Instagram feed, so it's not a whole video clip, but you can hear what he had to say. Once we go ahead and hit play, you'll be able to hear it and look towards the bottom, and you'll see what he was talking about.
Loved hood niggas. She loved YFN Lucci. That was her nigga. That was her nigga, bro. She loved a hood nigga. He had Thug Life tatted across his chest. I think even Wayne got Thug Life tatted across his chest. She loved that nigga, showing up to all type of BT celebrity basketball games. She loved that nigga, man. These bitches, like, let me not call bitch. These chicks be like, yo, they love a hood nigga. Of course they love a hood nigga. So that nigga facing 25 to life. The fuck? Nigga. Everything was all good with him until she realized that nigga caught a Rico. She seen that murder charge on this shit. Nigga, I've never seen a chick quickly. Reginae, some nigga named Armand. I don't even know who this nigga is. Like, nigga, she was downgraded. Like, she just got some random nigga. Nigga, she don't like thugs no more. She like, nigga.
What's up, my name and naysayers? What is going on?
Nigga, she got with a nigga, no disrespect to him. Don't try to fight me, bro. Like, I'm not like that. She got with a nigga who looked more feminine than her. Like, you feel me? Yo, nigga, she got with a nigga who, like, the opposite of gangster. Like, nigga, she got with a nigga who she could do guessing games, mukbangs and all that shit with, bro. You see, when she was with YFN Lucci, she was loving the thug shit. Look. Bro, she got with a nigga that been doing question and answers for the last 3 months. I don't even know what they do. All they do is hey, here we are, guys, another Q&A. I'm like, what the fuck do y'all do? Like, that's it. Either that or it's like mukbangs. Let's look it up. Reginae mukbang. You know, yo, first of all, the only bang pause that motherfucking YFN Lucci was doing was gangbanging, nigga. He wasn't doing no mukbangs. He was gangbanging, nigga. He was in the streets. She was loving that shit when she was with him. Now that nigga in jail, he might not never come home. This is what she doing. Mukbangs.
So let's dig in.
Let's go.
Okay.
Let's dig in. Put on your bib. Let's go, guys. Let's get the crab legs. This nigga Lucci fighting for his life behind bars. Thug sent $1 million niggas to try to kill him. He's over here trying to, like, you know, wrap his arms with toilet papers and like and fucking bed sheets to try not get cut and stabbed up. His girl is out here like, okay, let's enjoy the fucking crab legs. No more free YFN from her. Fuck that. It's over. She gotta continue her clout in her life. Too fuck children.
Okay. Amen. So, baby C.
I guarantee this nigga don't claim a fucking gang in the fucking world. Is that my landscapers? I might have to check them niggas. Them niggas is aggressive. Hold on.
And I'm mukbang. I think that lines between the one.
Look, see? Let me tell you this, man. And by the way, salute to her. She's just not a girl that gonna be doing the. You have a collect call from the Fulton County Jail. She's not gonna do that, bro. Like, she wanna live her life. Like, she only date y'all niggas for clout. She's Lil Wayne's daughter. Fuck y'all niggas. Y'all gonna go to jail? Every girl like a thug until the thug really faces 25 to life. Them phone calls will only go for a little bit of time. Then she gotta get back to get lit, nigga. I guarantee. Look at YFN Lucci. I want to look. YFN Lucci, Reginae loves hood niggas. She loves YFN.
All right, so yeah, that's enough.
Yeah, and by the way, bro, I put the wrong image there, so you could take that down. I thought this was the T.I. thing because he went on T.I. daughter too. This he on some other stuff with Akademiks.
It's all relevant. It's all relevant though because he responded, so it's all relevant. Yeah. So and then Reginae's mom, Lil Wayne's baby's mother, responded. Latoya, that's her name. She said, at Akademiks, I can't stand men that do bitch shit. Keep my daughter name out your mouth. Clout chasing is at an all-time high. Let her live her 23-year-old life. Worry about you and yours. Thanks. I hate when I let people take me out my character, but one thing about it, I don't play about my kids. At Akademiks, stop playing with my child. You too. She used the wrong two, but whatever. You too grown to be worrying about what a 23-year-old doing. Calling her a bitch and all that other shit is not cool. You men are worse than females, and this shit is getting out of hand. So that was what she said. She responded to him. So he mentioned a lot of stuff there. He talked about, her liking gangbangers. She was previously in a relationship with YFN Lucci, who was looking at extensive prison time called a RICO. You've mentioned that whole RICO thing in the past and the issue going on with the hip hop industry, and how now she's with this guy. And he basically was intimating that she was all about the gang banging and the thug life stuff until he got bammed. And now that he's bammed, she's like trying to do different things and make it seem as though she's not really about that. And so I guess he was calling out the contradiction there. So there's multiple angles in terms of what he said in that clip. So I thought that we'd bring this up because I thought it was interesting on a couple of different levels. But did you have any initial remarks about what he said?
I get the angle in which he was talking about, but the thing is with Akademiks, and you see how gassed up he was in that clip there. So I'm pretty sure most people who are aware of Akademiks, well, he was probably on that Henny that night. And everybody that's in his Discord or his chat or whatever the hell he's got going on ranges from the age of 11 to 17. All right. There's some outlier people out there that's a little bit older, but I would argue the next bracket of his fans are between the ages of 18 and 25. So his whole thing is those kids gas him up, and he's talking to a constituency of people who don't really view world consequences the same way as adults do. And so for his mom to reach out, because when you're saying stuff on the internet and you're as big as Akademiks is, and you're talking about people's children, yeah, you're going to get a response back from that. Back in my IG days, when I was real heavy on IG, I would have some slanderous stuff to say about certain people who I was aware of that I didn't follow, but there were people who followed me and the person I was slandering. And the people that were cross-reference would pretty much, they wouldn't check me, but it was kind of a thing of, hey, man, that's not cool. Hey, you're cool. Why are you doing this? I said, because that guy's a duck. That's why. And so, but hey, man, that's not cool. But then I realized out there that there's a lot of people. I mean, I know there's a lot of people on the internet. There's a lot of people on the internet, and everybody knows somebody. And so when you're around here just thrashing people like that, it's going to get back to somebody. And so I realized that the better way of dealing with my online conflicts is to not be so confrontational, not be so judgmental. And it's not that I'm biting my tongue. It's a thing where whatever I'm saying, if I can't say it in this person's face, I ain't going to say it. I will tell Akademiks in his face that all of your fans are kids. And that whatever, everything I got to say about Akademiks right now, and I'm going to say some stuff later, I'm sure, I would say it in his face. So I don't really care. But him, when he's talking about, people who are in the industry and stuff like that, yeah, man, people are going to bite back and bark back at him. And yeah, I agree with the mother on this one. He need to stay in his place, stay in his lane, but he is covering hip hop. He is a hip hop journalist, and this is his brand of journalism. So I think they're both I see where Akademiks was coming from, and I damn sure know where the mama coming from. But what were your initial thoughts with this?
Yeah, you use the term journalism loosely.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Akademiks is one of these content creators who is devoid of nuance. He is popular, I can only imagine, because of shock value. I don't know that anyone who seeks content for substance follows him, because he never presents any of his commentary with any sort of nuance. It's just flamed and laced with incendiary language. Every other word that came out of his mouth was the N-word. That's a whole other subject. Like, you talk about confusion surrounding the invocation of that word. He'll be the first person that gets mad when someone uses the word who he thinks shouldn't be using it, yet he has a platform that services people who exist in those very communities, and he's using the word. So he is a part of the issue with the confusion behind that word, and how we need to reevaluate whether it's even worth getting upset that people should and should not be using the word in the first place. But he represents to me one of the reasons why, like, there are certain content creators that I used to follow, both on the internet, social media, and on YouTube, who I cease to follow because I realize that there is no nuance to what they deliver. What they do is just sort of feed a beast, and that beast is antagonism and misery. So, generally speaking, a lot of people are abjectly miserable with the course that their lives have taken. And so they get a cathartic release from seeing other people pent up and caught up in misery themselves. And so people like Akademiks fuel that, because, why not talk about Reginae Carter in this capacity, making it seem as though she's a broken, hypocritical woman. Because if she's perceived to be broken and hypocritical, then I'm playing upon I'm playing upon an abjectly miserable concept, and so I therefore can take advantage of I can take advantage of the environment of the internet and use that to my benefit, because I know that the majority of the people who consume my content are people who are looking to get that cathartic release by basking in the abject misery of another individual, especially an individual who's supposed to be doing good, a la Reginae Carter. If he had actually got into some nuance behind his opinions on Reginae foregoing her relationship with YFN Lucci, maybe get into some specifics behind that, instead of just lacing his entire commentary with the N-word and talking about thug life and how he's going to prison, maybe I would have given him more respect for what he did with that. But otherwise, I kind of feel like he was just feeding an internet beast. And we talk often about internet troll world and how internet troll world is different from real life. And he represents someone who exists solely within internet troll world. I wouldn't be shocked in any kind of way if we learn that in his regular private life, not as DJ Akademiks, he acts nothing like that. But he's leaning into his place in the internet world of feeding the beast because it pays him. And more power to him, I guess. But I just don't respect his brand of commentary because I find it to be completely lacking in nuance and otherwise just irresponsible in a lot of ways and incendiary. And it just disappoints me that he has such a large following, because it leads me to believe that you just have a lot of people who don't have the ability to think for themselves. And that's not to say that everything that he's done I haven't liked. There have been some things that he's done that I've appreciated, but more often than not, a lot of the stuff that I've seen has been stuff like this. And if you're gonna put someone's name out there, you need to substantiate the stuff that you're saying with some nuance and some commentary that has at least a hint of intellectual capacity in it, as opposed to just basically sounding like a hip hop DJ and sounding like someone who is ill-informed on the intricacies with respect to some of the issues that you bring up. And it just furthermore disappoints me because this is the type of commentary that we see more and more in our culture. And I use the word culture facetiously because I have talked ad nauseum about how uncomfortable I am with Black people being made synonymous with hip hop and how that is our culture in and of itself. But be that as it may, this is just another instance of Akademiks being Akademiks. And so I'm not surprised that he went there, but I think it would behoove people to, and I'm using a word that I used in the last topic because I guess it's appropriate, but I think it will behoove people to unplug from this type of content because I just don't know who it best serves. And yeah, don't mention the girl's name in this regard because you don't know what they had going on in their relationship. You don't have any information. You have no details. You're using your inherent bias and inflaming it with incendiary language so that you can continue to get traffic to your channels. And even though I understand it and I get that it's the nature of the beast, I just don't completely respect it. But that was initially what I thought about it.
Yeah, well said. And the reason why I brought up the age of his viewers, because I used to watch Akademiks, when he was just on YouTube and he was just covering the latest things going on with rap. Hey, why is Meek Mill beefing with blah 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 or whatever? It was with Drake. And so it was like, I would sit there and watch it because, well, it wasn't people covering it as much as him. He was very active. He was dropping stuff 2-3 times a day. And, so I was sitting there watching it because he was keeping me up to date. So I was sitting there watching it. But over time, as I'm watching his content, I started to hear his character. And, I wasn't really a fan of some stuff. Then even though I was still watching his videos, it got to a point where I was like, I don't like this guy. Why am I watching his videos? And then I just stopped. Eventually I unsubscribed and I was like, yeah, I can't keep doing this. So that was me personally. But the reason why I brought up the age of the people, kids look up to older people. It's just what it is. And so Akademiks, I think a lot of the people who are fans of him are younger than him. And when they were becoming of age, he was their speaker. He was their voice. And he was talking about artists that they like. And all the other old head hip hop people wasn't covering the new up and coming rappers that all of these kids like. So he became their sway. And so it's like, hey, let's tap in with Akademiks because he's the one that's covering this and he's covering it the way I like. And so those kids that were, 11 years old then, they're probably 17, 18, 19 now, right there in the comment section going crazy. The kids that are new to this stuff, they're seeing all of this stuff. And just like how you said with the OnlyFans thing, well, they like it. They like it. This must be the wave. Everybody's here laughing. It's a good community. I'm a part of this. So what's the big deal? And so they listen to his opinions. They listen to his worldviews, and they always chiming in. Everybody in the chat is doing the same thing. And then they get caught in this little weird bubble. And now they're all academikites. And so I believe that those are his main core followers, and there's a lot of them. And I think those are his main core followers, just males who are young. And him and his way of doing things, yes, modern internet trolley type of behavior. And that's what these kids are into.
Yeah.
So they're the ones that prop him up. He's created this narrative that if you don't like him and you're older, you're an old hater. So I guess I'm in the old head dusty category because I don't like his brand of journalism.
Stop using that word.
I mean, I guess there's a high bar for that word, but
that is disrespect for the actual journalists. He's just a content creator. He's a content creator. That's all he is. He does not have any credentials. He's a content creator. Journalists have credentials.
That's fair. I hear you. And so he has internet street credentials. If he goes to an event, he's got a press pass. I never liked the air quote journalism that when I was younger, that some people were doing, but they were still labeled that. I'm passing by, in the grocery store, and there's all kinds of weird articles that were written by journalists that I never co-signed for. And those were around for levels of brainwashing too back then. So there's it's like artists, real artists, and they get labeled as a hip hop artist. Exactly. And then there's these people who aren't doing anything, but they're still in the hip hop genre. So that's Akademiks. All right.
Yeah.
So
it's the same dynamic.
Yeah. So term, of course, used loosely, but if you are in the genre, I'm going to call out what your genre is. But at the end of the day, Akademiks and all of this stuff that he does, yes, antics and shenanigans. I don't co-sign none of it. I heard enough of how he personally thinks to know that this guy is just not cool in close quarters. He's not somebody I would like to have a beer with. He's not somebody I would like to hang out with. I mean, this guy was hanging out with 6ix9ine, all kinds of weird stuff. He's a Drake groupie. All right. He's a Tory Lanez groupie. All right. And amongst others. And this guy, he the way he plays the field and how he plays the game out here, I don't respect it. And so for him to do stuff like this and make like you say, inflammatory comments that he's making in this segment, I definitely wouldn't put that past him. And so, but I hear the angle in which he was talking about because, I get that angle. But as you said, you ain't have to go there with it like that. You don't have to, and you're making a lot of assumptions, bro. You know, and so, but he's drunk, and he's got hundreds of people in his comment section egging him on, and so that's all it is. So yeah, it's just, this is classic Akademiks, and I didn't even catch the comments that he made about T.I.'s daughter, but he did the same thing talking about T.I.'s daughter, because who cares about T.I.'s daughter? Not us. It's the kids. You know, the kids that are in that bracket, the ones that's in 18 to 25 range, or the ones that's from 17 or 11 to 17 because they think she's cool or cute or whatever. And so he's speaking on kids topics, and he's talking about people's kids. So he's not talking about the parents anymore because they're not making the content. They're not making anything that he can make commentary on. So now he's talking about these people's children because they're more relevant and the kids understand that. So this is him doing his Mr. Rogers impersonation, and just only talking to kids. And so he can have at it. I think he's weird. I don't like his level of content. And if anybody that's running around with 6ix9ine and calling 6ix9ine your best friend or your friend or whatever, that says a lot about that person as an individual. So Akademiks is going to keep this up. So long as these people that are propping him up at this age, those people are going to be adult up until adults. These people are going to be following him, propping him up, and making sure that he gets paid. So get comfortable out there, internet, because Akademiks is going to be around for quite a while.
Yep, I hear that. Every time that I see one, because one of these guys pops up seemingly every year, there's a new Akademiks. Now, I will give Akademiks credit for this. He's been able to sustain a presence in this space over the course of a period of time. And so in order to do that, it does require a work ethic. And I'm always going to respect people who have a work ethic. So I'll give him that much credit, right? I'll give him credit for having a work ethic and being committed to it, to see it through and try and build it as much as he can. I'm always going to respect that in a person, no matter what it is that they're doing, just because, the principled individual in me who's a worker. I respect laborers. I respect laborers, and I respect people who commit to a labor in order to see it come to a certain point. But whenever I see these guys like this pop up, Akademiks being among them, it makes me respect people like Howard Stern and remember the guy who got in trouble for calling the Rutgers basketball players nappy headed hoes, Don Imus. This was back in the 2000s. Like,
wow,
people like them. Yeah. Well, I'm old. So Don Imus, Howard Stern, people like Akademiks make me respect individuals like them because they were the progenitors of this type of content. But people like Imus and Howard Stern actually were formally educated in mass communications and some form of journalism, whether it be broadcast journalism or traditional journalism. So there are some credentials there, and they understand the importance of fact checking. They might not have been averse to using incendiary language and all of that kind of stuff, charged words. They definitely did that. They engaged in that. So I'm not going to make it seem as though they were above that, but they were not above fact checking. They were not above getting into nuance. DJ Akademiks is apparently above that stuff because he just gets on he just rants. Like, he gets onto his channels and he just cusses and uses N-words and there's no substance behind any of his commentary. And that's why I don't respect it. But I do, nevertheless, it makes me appreciate some of these old heads who paved the way for people like Akademiks. But I just think that, if I am going to say anything, it would be that I just think it's important for people to, you know, consume content that, you know, I'm not saying it has to be fluff and devoid of, because we cuss on this channel. So it's not about the language per se. It's more so about the nuance and the substance. You know, I think that that's just the best brand of commentary, in my opinion. And you're not really offering up much in the way of any sort of information if all you're doing is getting on there and name calling and using charged words that can get people in trouble if they went out in the real world, in real life, in non-social media troll world, and parroted that same speech. So people like Akademiks, that's what they stand for. And so I just don't respect it. But I do understand what he's doing and I get it. I just don't think it's very good.
Yeah, and I'll just say this. That's all he does on that little feed that he does. I don't know if that's on Twitch or whatever the hell, but all he does is get drunk and shoot from the hip and just says whatever. And everybody in this comment section is rolling on the floor laughing, you know, gassing it up. And so he's built himself a nice little routine of, oh, something happened. Where's the Henny at? Gets drunk and then rants. And if people want to call that entertainment, have at it. You know what I'm saying? Because I don't think it's entertaining. Every once in a while, there'll be something that comes up and, you know, I'll stumble across it because, well, he's the only person covering it. And then I'll see how he's covering it. And he's covering like a drunk man. And he's just being loud and just saying anything. And it's like, you know, why did I even click on this? You know? And so, but that's Akademiks for you. And like I said, man, the only people that's buying this crap are the people that's younger than him. And I would argue that if anybody that does watch him that's his age or older, those are the outliers on the bell curve of his viewers. So, yeah, the kids that's got swept up in this, they don't know anything else. So I'm not faulting them for following him. It's just what it is. And yeah, he's a result of kid entertainment. He's just really weird, and he only appeases children. So
yeah, he's the result of being able to to maximize internet troll world. Like he's the result of being able to leverage internet troll world. And like I said, much to his credit, I would just tell people, you know, people who don't know any better, I understand and I agree with that, but I would just say, hey man, there's better stuff out there. And like, you know, even when he would, and you know, I stopped watching, you know, I used to watch modern relationship content. So I used to look at stuff like AMS and Pot and Fresh and Fit and all of that. Even Kevin Samuels, and I dialed a lot of that back because I realized that it was doing more harm than good to me, because it pertains to how you're coordinating relationships in internet troll world when there's a big world out there and there's a lot of people who don't ascribe to those behaviors. But nevertheless, even when he would be on Fresh and Fit, you know, those guys would kick something that had substance and nuance behind the commentary that they were delivering, and he would just get on there and every other word was bitches this and bitches that, and I can get all these bitches and you bitches blah 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 blah. And I would just be like, why do they have him on here? He's not offering anything of value to this other than his antics. And you know, he brought down the value of the show, and that was part of the reason why I unsubscribed. So but it is what it is. Team Reginae, Team Toya, I know T.I. has something to say in response to other comments that he made. Team T.I., all of that good stuff. I think Akademiks can stand to be taken down a peg or two. I don't really think that what he does is that good.
Yes, yeah, it's really not.
Sorry,
12-year-olds. He sucks.
For real. All right, on that note, man, we are going to go ahead and we are going to talk about Ime Udoke. Ime Udoke, man. So for anybody who's been living under a rock, or I guess people who don't follow sports, because there's a lot of people who just don't follow sports, but Ime Udoke, head coach of the Boston Celtics, he was last week suspended by the Boston Celtics for an entire year because it was discovered that he violated a team policy which prohibits relationships between staff in the organization. So it was found out that he was carrying on a consensual relationship with a female person on the Celtics staff. And the violation was so egregious that he was suspended for an entire year. And so there's all kinds of fallout from this. You know, there were people like Stephen A. Smith were commenting as to why this was made public in the first place. Nobody had ever heard of anything like this, where a coach was being fired for something that was consensual. So this was just kind of new to a lot of people, myself included. Like, I've heard it all, you know, domestic violence, sexual assault, all of that good stuff, right? Arrested for this, DUI, drug use. Yeah, I've never heard of somebody being fired for something that was actually consensual. It might not look good publicly, and image-wise, it's a problem. PR-wise, HR-wise, it's an issue. But in terms of it being something that's grounds for dismissal, it kind of caught people off guard. And, you know, also because it was made public that this is the reason why. And so, you know, he's been dismissed for a year, and he's not fired though. His stance with the team is going to be reviewed once that year suspension has been served. But I think he's done. I don't think he's going to be the coach of the team moving forward. And if you've been doing any sort of ancillary investigating on this, the alleged individual that he was supposed to have been in a relationship with, that is serious enough that it might shed light on why he's being let go in this way. Because it's alleged and not verified, I didn't want to go there on this video because I don't like that form of reckless speculation. But you can definitely do your own Google search it up on whatever means by which you look for news, and you can see who it's alleged that he was in this relationship with. But there's a whole lot of fallout, man. And, you know, Udoka's, you know, now out of there for the year, and his fiance is actress Nia Long. So that's a whole nother angle to this. And there are all of these, you know, outlying aspects of the conversation, but this is a big thing going on. So, you know, the team has had to answer questions. Today was NBA Media Day. What's today? Today is the 27th of September. So today was NBA Media Day, and the players had to answer all of these awkward questions about the dismissal and about the suspension. And so it's just a lot of weird stuff going on. Social media troll world was trying to figure out who the woman is. And so there were a whole lot of women who had nothing to do with the situation being implicated. And so, you know, it's a crazy story, but, you know, it's sad because Ime Udoka led the Celtics to the finals last year. And by all appearances, he was a guy who was a pretty good coach, came from the Popovich tree. And now we got this going on. So a lot of crazy stuff. I don't know if you had any initial thoughts on, you know, the suspension or any aspect of it, you know, any sort of part about it.
Yeah, I was in the ballpark of what the hell is this when I first heard the news. Consensual relationship suspended for a year seems pretty steep. But it's team rules. It's team rules. But it's like, so he's the first person in Celtics history to do that, and everybody knew it. So that was weird. So once the speculations and stuff started to come out, because Matt Barnes had an initial reaction to this, and he was weighing in and basically saying the stuff that, you know, I'm saying, like, this is commonplace in NBA areas where, you know, people sleeping with the trainers, sleeping with the dancers, sleeping with anybody within the organization. And he said that this is so commonplace. So why in the hell would he get suspended for a whole year? The next day, he said that I didn't know how deep it was, so I'm retracting what I said yesterday because it's deeper than rap, and I didn't know all that was going on. So there's all kinds of accusations. The story isn't really clear yet. Still, I'm hearing all kinds of stuff that he was obsessed with the person, and the affair ended and he didn't want it to end. He's sending extra messages that's damning. So there was all kinds of stuff that was floating around on this situation. So I think where there's smoke, there's fire with some of this stuff that's floating around on the internet. And I think that the reason that he caught the year was because this isn't your typical in-house consensual relationship that he had, or he crossed the line somewhere after the consensuality ended. And so either way, he's not looking good in this when it comes to the suspension part, because a lot of people was willing to give him a pass, myself included. I'm like, bro, he's an ex-NBA player who is the head coach of the Boston Celtics. He gonna smash off on something on that staff. I'm not condoning cheating, family. All right. But I'm calling a spade a spade.
Sure.
And so high level athletes, high level entertainers, they got plenty of options. And I bet most of them exercise them. So for him to exercise it and then get suspended for it was a little questionable for me. The Nia Long aspect, I did not know he was engaged to her. I didn't know that was going down. I love me some Nia Long. I'm sad that she's got to get dragged into this. This is kind of embarrassing for her. She's one of those celebrities who stay out of the way. Her name is never coming up in no filth, trash, and nothing her entire career. And so for her to get dragged into this from this, it's kind of unfortunate. So I don't know how you felt about this initially, but those were my initial thoughts.
Yeah, Nia Long, man, she is one of my favorites for sure.
Yeah,
so
same here.
Yeah. I concur with everything you said. It just seemed I had never heard anything like that before, that it's a consensual relationship. But the whole thing was odd. And like, I watched the press conference. So the owner of the Celtics and the guy who used to be the head coach and they promoted him to president, Brad Stevens, they talked to the media for 30 minutes or something like that. And basically, it was 30 minutes of nothing. They got into nothing specific. They answered no specific questions whatsoever. So no one knows anything. There is such a clandestine nature to this that there has to be something deeper going on that we just don't know about as of yet. And again, you can kind of look and see what is being speculated in regards to that. Eventually, the truth will come out. But for me, I'm going to go galaxy brain on this real quick. I'm going to go kind of big picture galaxy brain, because one of the ancillary conversations that comes out of this is commentary on men in positions of power and how men are always stepping out and cheating and all of that kind of stuff. So that's kind of the angle that I kind of took this from. Kind of chose to go galaxy brain a little bit. So, when it comes to like the patriarchy, in my opinion, has both benefited and worked to the detriment of both men and women in different ways. So, for men, it's benefited, the patriarchy has benefited men because men have always historically had access to opportunities more than women. And so that has persisted into modern day, history. In today's society, most of these prominent positions in most industries are seats that are filled mostly by men, because historically the patriarchy afforded men those seats first. And we are seeing strides being made to sort of shift the tides on that and make things more equitable, to have more women in some of those seats of authority and power. But it is the vast majority of those seats are still being occupied by men. And you can go down the list: professional head coaches of professional sports teams, owners of businesses, owners of professional sports franchises, CEOs of Fortune 500 companies, presidents, VPs, of major corporations and all this kind of stuff, the vast majority of these seats are still being occupied by men. So that's the main regard in which the patriarchy has benefited men. However, it has worked to the detriment of men because men have to be able to comply with the rules of hypergamy, which states that your value and your worth is directly tethered to your resources and your finances. So if the man who has more money and resources than you is perceived to be of greater value than you, even though that guy can be a piece of shit, the rules of the patriarchy dictate that he has more money and resources than you, therefore he's a more valuable person inherently than you. So that's one way that the patriarchy has worked to the detriment of men. And the patriarchy has worked for women because women get to benefit off of some of the social aspects of the patriarchy. Women don't have to work to acquire relationships. They can just receive men's attention. Women can get sort of a lot of the things that they want in life based upon their physical appearance. So it stands to reason that if you can work on and maximize that, a wealth of opportunity can be provided to you, because that's the lane that the patriarchy has afforded women that it hasn't afforded for men. But it also works to the detriment of women because they're basically valued based upon their physical attractiveness, their sexuality and their sex appeal, their vaginas and their appearance. So that's not any good either, right? So my point is, it's worked for both men and women in different ways. And it's also been to the detriment of men and women in different ways. Now, I bring that up. I bring the patriarchy up because I just want to say that I am looking forward to more women becoming head coaches in the NBA. And I'm looking forward to more women maintaining some of these seats of power throughout various industries in our modern society, because then we will really get to pierce the veil and see whether it is inherent in a man's nature to do this type of behavior or whether it's inherent in a person who holds a position of power. And I don't think that we are informed enough on the answer to that, because the vast majority of these positions of power are being occupied by men. So the data in this regard is being skewed, if any of that makes sense. So I'm kind of looking at this and I'm saying, man, Ime Udoka, like another one bites the dust. But what if we get more and more of these women who become head coaches who are running stuff? And they're in position to exploit these types of dynamics to their benefit. Will we see some of that stuff become more equitable to the point that we will have less of these policies which prohibit this type of behavior and less of these instances of seeing people get fired for these types of things? Because the crux of my position is I hate to see somebody be forfeited from the opportunity to be able to reap the benefits of a position that they work to earn. And Ime Udoka worked to earn his spot as an NBA head coach. He was a player for a long time. He was an assistant coach for a long time, and he worked his way up to become a head coach. And now that's been stripped away from him because he made an ill-advised, albeit, but nevertheless, personal decision to do something in his personal life. And that rubs me the wrong way. But I understand consent, right? So, but that rubs me the wrong way because, like, it was a personal choice and it was a consensual matter. But now he's forfeited his right to continue to be viable in something that he worked to earn. And I think that the crumbling of the patriarchy is the only way that we will see that shift, so that less of these things will actually be a thing. And it's in the entertainment space too. Like, I don't like it when some of these people get canceled because they expressed a disagreeable point of view, or they got caught stepping out on their spouses or their significant others. And now there's all of this blowback, losing all of these sponsorships, these endorsement deals, really having their careers compromised because of a personal decision they made. When logically, to me, that should be independent on whether they should be able to continue to retain a spot in something that they worked to earn, because they worked at that and they acquired it because they worked hard and they, strapped themselves up and they got to where they got to because of the talent that they have and the work that they put in. So I don't think that the patriarchy is all bad. I never have. I think that thus far it has been sustainable for the most part for a reason. But this is one of those things where I think it has had an unintended consequence in a negative way, because until we start seeing more women being put in positions of power, there's still going to continue to be this uniform way that we look at ill-advised personal decisions and how that relates to a person's career. And I want to see that go away, because I want to see people continue to be viable in something that they work to earn, regardless of whether they made an ill-advised personal decision. And the only reason why the Boston Celtics had that rule in place is because there's probably precedent for it. And that precedent was probably established, I would imagine, by men who have been in positions of power historically. And so maybe a lot of that will go away when there are more women in positions of power. But until then, I feel like people are going to continue to get fired and canceled for stuff that I don't think they should get fired and canceled for. So that was pretty much how I looked at this. I know that that's kind of a world view. I know that that's kind of a big picture type angle or way to look at it. But that was honestly the first thing that came to mind, because what does him cheating on his wife have to do with his ability to coach the team? Especially if it was consensual. Now, again, there's other details that'll probably become public, which will, sort of provide clarity as to why this was so bad in terms of who this individual is and what that all means. But in a vacuum, I don't think consensual relationships should lead to anyone being fired from something. I kind of feel the same way that I feel about like the whole canceling thing. But there are bigger societal reasons for why these sorts of things happen. And this is what you get as a result. And so I feel bad for him. Obviously, I feel bad for his family and the organization, because I don't like the Celtics, but I also don't hate them. So it's just one of those things where it just kind of sucks for all parties involved. But, until things become more equitable in that regard, I think people are going to continue to suffer these types of consequences for those types of choices.
That's fair. I personally, there's definitely some nuance to the stuff that you were saying. I've known women in positions of power who had options and they exercised on them, but the guys don't talk. So they not, oh yeah, the guys aren't really hollering me too's out here. Guys get their cookies and go home. And so they're not really gonna blow up the spot. Like side dudes, how many side dudes inboxing the main guy like, hey bro, I'm sliding on this, man. You might want to check your female, bro. And so, but females will do that all day. So even if we put women in more positions of power, and they sliding at the office, ain't nobody gonna say nothing. You know what I'm saying? Unless you're trying to slide on females, and then the female gonna out her and me too'd me. You know what I'm saying? But nah, bro, like dudes keep it solid because they just want their cookies, and they'll take it however they can get it, bro. And so,
but we don't know that the reason why this fallout happened in the way that it did was because of hearsay. Like, we don't know that yet. It could have been because of that, but we don't exactly know. How did it even get found out?
Yeah, that's totally fair. I mean, the details will definitely leak. There's definitely going to be some details around this. But office, workplace stuff, men in positions of power, it is what it is with that. It's gonna happen. Women choose up so hard. It's ridiculous. And there's been times where I was in one role at the job getting attention, but then I got another role at the job that's a little bit better, and the attention from same type of women changed. It just happens that way. They can't help it. It's like all of a sudden, you know what I'm saying? Like, for like a guy, one thing about man, or at least me, man, I speak for myself. You know what I'm saying? I'm more of a buttocks man. You know what I'm saying? So if she's got a big old booty, I'm like, oh, I'm checking twice. Hey, damn, what's going on there? You know what I'm saying? And like for me, being in the positions of power that I done had at certain jobs, I saw how their perception of me changed. Like, damn, he got a raise. Look at him. He got a raise. And it's like, oh, I'm still the same guy. Like, but now I just got power. But this speaks to our first conversation. Men have to be out here achieving and accomplishing and getting stuff done. If you're out here achieving, accomplishing, and getting stuff done, the vagina gets thrown at you. I mean, now it's still on you to go catch that thing and make it happen. But your options definitely increase when you're out here in the real world achieving. And this ties to the conversation that we had last time when I was saying that that men that have their own. I got my own lawn service. I'm contracted out at this hotel. I'm contracted out at that apartment complex. I'm contracted out over here. This guy is making moves. And so women, even though they don't want some guy out there personally pushing the lawnmower, he's a worker. She don't want that. She wants a boss. She wants somebody who's running something, who has a position of power. So what does the vaginas do? They open right on up and get all lubricated just because this guy is actually out here achieving and accomplishing. But if your achievements is the latest badge that you've got because you playing Call of Duty, hey, look, babe, I got 10 kill shots. I unlocked a new badge. And she's looking at him like, oh my God, I'm with a lame. And at that same time, she'll go to work and flirt with her supervisor because he's doing something. Now, granted, there's more hypergamous levels than the supervisor at her job, but I'm just sticking with the theme of men in position of power. Me personally, you know what I'm saying, at one of my previous jobs, you know what I'm saying, I slid on, you know what I'm saying, somebody that was in a position of power. I ain't say nothing. You know what I'm saying? My homeboy that was, you know what I'm saying, at the club with me that night, he the only person that knew. But that was it. And she kept it solid. I kept it solid. Everything was solid. And it was what it was. I didn't do it because she had a position of power. I just did it because it was what it was. And so I really personally don't get off on positions of power outside of like Nia Long and stuff like that. I guess status does it for me. I don't know what that is, but it's still not a high thing. It's kind of like a celebrity crush. Everybody's got celebrity crushes.
I don't think men are. I don't think men are not programmed to care about that. It's different.
Yeah, and so that's what I'm saying. So that's why I'm saying, like, as far as the scenario that you were pointing out, like, because granted, there will be more. If there's more women, there's going to be more cases.
Well, what I'm talking about specifically is the advent of mechanisms that are put in place that penalize people for that in such a way that you end up no longer in possession of your career. That's why I'm suggesting that portion of it, not necessarily about who's going to do what to out it or talk about it, but more so if there is more equitability. I feel as though there will be more instances over time of people not caring about it as much, because it's really, at that point, it'll really be like, oh, okay, well, everybody's doing it, so who cares? So now in the future, we won't see people getting fired or canceled for that type of behavior. It'll just be, hey, whatever they got to deal with in their personal life, they're gonna have to deal with that, but they still have their job or their career. Does that make sense? That's the angle that I'm coming at it from.
I got you. I got you. And I'm just saying, like, as far as the whole, patriarchal angle and stuff, like, I mean, I guess that could be a thing.
I only bring up the patriarchy specifically because we don't have a sample size to suggest that that's not correct. Like, we can speculate all day, but the reality is there's nothing but men in these positions of power. So Like there's no way to really tell for sure that that doesn't have anything to do with it, which is why I pointed it out. I'm not saying that that's definitely for sure the crux of it, but I also don't definitely know for sure that it's not. And the reason why I don't know that it's not is because it's only men who are doing it. But I don't believe that it's in a man's nature inherently to do it. I personally think that it's in a human being's nature to potentially exercise whatever options they have available.
Yeah,
So that's where I'm coming at it from. It's not really a man or a woman thing. It's a
right.
position of power thing. It's a person who has options thing. But it just so happens that the majority of the people who have the options are guys because of the way that the whole thing's been set up. So that's why I brought that up.
I got you. And but yeah, that's you know, that's the thing. But all I'm saying is that for this whole scenario, it's just a man in a position of power. This is status quo to me. It happens all over the place, and people cheat every day, bro. When I was a cab driver, and I'm in random parking lots. I'm in random parking lots waiting for the next ride. I'll see two cars pull up next to each other, you know, in an empty parking lot, basically, or in the back of the parking lot. And they pull up next to each other, and the guy gets out, the woman gets out, and they hug, they talk for a little bit, they all get in his car, and then they go drive off. And I'm like, I wonder what that's about. Always after work too, like after work, sometimes like during lunch, you know, then the car come back, you know what I'm saying? They'll say bye to each other. She gets in her car, he gets back in his, and they drive off. And I was like, yeah, they just linked right there. You know what I'm saying? They just linked right there. Black, white, I seen it all. You know, old, generally like, you know, people that look like they got families.
Yeah.
And but I saw that so often. You know, I'm taking guys from their house. I'm taking guys from their house, and I'm taking them to a motel or a hotel where there's back page women waiting for him when he gets there. And I'm sitting in the parking lot waiting, you know what I'm saying, so I can catch that ride to take him back to his family. So people do this all day long. I don't condone it. It's just that people can't keep it in the pants. And so so this situation here, highly disappointed that he did this to Nia Long, bro. Like you like for all like I'm pretty sure, you know what I'm saying, I'm not the only dude out there that was a fan of what he was doing with the Celtics and a fan of how he was, you know what I'm saying, up and coming and all that stuff, and knew that he was dealing with Nia Long. Is like, this guy's winning.
Yeah, they've been together for a long time. I actually thought that they were married. They've been together so long that I thought that they were married. I was misunderstanding that. Turns out that they're not actually married, because I've been on about them. And so that's how long they've been together, that I thought that they were already married. And they're not.
And so for him to pull this on her like that, you know what I'm saying? I'm one of the people that's like, damn, bro, I don't know how much of a fan I can be of you right now, bro. Cause you did that to one of my favorites out there. Cause again, man, she just stays out of the way. I don't know how she is behind closed doors, but at least for everything that I've seen from a man, she's A1 and she's a cool person. And to do that to Miss Long like that, man, yeah, I'm disappointed in, bro, on that regard. This is a messy situation. The details will come out on this. I'm sure we'll cover that. But yeah, man, this is sad stuff, man. At first I felt like he was being targeted, but once I heard all of this riffraff that it could be, nah, bro, I think he was just flying too close to the sun, and and he couldn't keep it in the pants.
Yeah, it's looking like he was just a sloppy individual. That's what it's looking like.
That's what it's looking like.
It's looking like he was real sloppy, and there's no defense for that.
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean that we can't sort of analyze it from a more deeper perspective for content
Oh,
purposes.
yeah, for sure. For sure.
But yeah, she is a classic, so he did this to a classic for sure. And that's unfortunate. But yeah, we'll definitely see what details come of this. It's too bad. I just, I always hate to see, even though I'm not necessarily defending his actions, but what I do find very disappointing is he worked so hard to get to that position, and now it's just gone like that because of a personal matter. Granted, yes, it was a team policy. He broke team rules, blah, 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 blah. But, does this really, it just sucks that this means that just like that, the whole thing is over for something that was consensual, albeit breaking rules, but consensual nevertheless. And so that's what I don't like seeing as well. Like, sucks for the personal aspect of it with his family and, Nia Long, because she is a favorite. But like, bro, you worked this hard and now it's just over. And I just don't like seeing people. If he was a trust fund person or somebody who didn't work to get there and he just sort of fell into opportunity, I could care less. But I just hate to see hardworking people have to forfeit their opportunity in any capacity for something that truly isn't egregious, like truly egregious, like murder, rape, assaulting somebody, stuff like that. And this to me doesn't, well, I guess the other person's significant other would probably disagree with me. But from where I stand, I don't really perceive it to be so egregious, but I get it. Based on the speculation, I get it. It just sucks. It just sucks.
Yeah. Nia, I'm still here. And if he ain't treating you right, because it don't seem like he is, just go ahead and inbox me. It's Dogon_SS. I'm on Instagram. I'll treat you right and give you that ring that you need. Because apparently he don't want to marry you, but I'll hold you down. So I just had to let you know that, Nia. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, we'll go ahead. I think that's a good place to stop. I think that's a good place to stop. Nia Long is one of the ones too. Like, she's gotten older, but she's just still looks so good.
Just wine,
it's crazy.
Bro. Just
yeah,
wine.
It's crazy.
Yes, love it.
It's crazy. But yeah, on that note, man, we'll go ahead and close out. That sucks, man. I hope that all parties come out of that situation as unscathed as can be. But it does look ugly, and there is going to be significant collateral damage, even more so than there already is. But in terms of tonight's Conscious Approach video, we are going to go ahead and close it out. As always, appreciate everybody for tuning in. If you watched it live, certainly appreciated you for tuning in. And if you are watching this as its own standalone video upload, also appreciate you support the platform as we continue to keep things rocking and rolling. Once again, my name is JV Wins, and my buddy over there, Dogon SS. We are active, live, and in effect every Tuesday. So please tune in. Subscribe to the channel, like this video, and please leave a comment. We do engage. If you're watching this video on the Meta page, like the page, follow the page, share the video, comment on the video there as well. Certainly appreciate it. You can follow me on Instagram at JVWins, and you can follow Conscious Approach on Instagram as well at Conapproach, CONAPPROACH. Thinking about starting a TikTok for the page. I got to emotionally wrap my head around that because I kind of don't like TikTok. But, it is a video platform, and so it probably would be beneficial for us to have a presence there. So stay tuned for that. But in the meantime, check out the website, constantapproach.com. All content also exists there as well. As always, appreciate you supporting logical content. And I also personally appreciate you. So, and also thanks to everybody who's been subscribing over the course of the last couple of weeks. We have some momentum, so we just trying to keep that up. So thank you very much.
Yes, sir. And the name is Dogon SS. All right. You can find me on Instagram at Dogon_SS. I'm talking to you, Nia Long. All right. Also, you can find me on YouTube at Dogon SS. All right. yeah, man. Like JV says, man, support that logical content. We really appreciate you guys that have already hit the sub. If you guys do be lurking around and hang around and haven't hit it yet, go ahead and do that. You know what I'm saying? Like you said, we do this every Tuesday, man. So we really appreciate you guys for watching, and appreciate you guys for watching future content. You know what I'm saying? Hit that bell for them notifications, though. You dig. All right. And like I always say every week, you know what I'm saying? Don't be too high, don't be too low. Keep it calm, keep it chill, keep it player. You know what I'm saying? Make sure you stay on your pivot. Don't let nobody get you off it, man. Keep it even kill. You know what I mean? And these topics that we talked about this week, very important, of just staying solid and having a foundation about yourself, and not letting any of those outside influences sway you one way or the other. That voice inside of you that knows the right thing to do. Everybody has a different voice, and every voice is saying something different, but each one of those voices is telling us to do the right thing. So stay locked in, keep it even kill, man. Don't be too high, too low, man. And until next time, fam, you did.
Yeah, so we are going to sign off on this video. We'll holler at y'all next week. Please, for all of our videos, leave those comments, man. I do pay attention. I do engage. I do reply. And I do appreciate constructive feedback. So until then, until the next video, until the next broadcast, we are signing off. We'll see you later. Peace.
Skirt.